And all the big news breaks only on India Today TV after the NCP top ministers in an emergency huddle in Mumbai. Now senior Congress ministers Ashok, Chavan, Balasaheb, Thorat have joined the meeting at Sharad Pawar's residence in Mumbai. This is the big news that we are bringing to you. Remember, just about a few hours ago, Minister in the Aghadi government in Maharashtra, Nawab Malik, was arrested by the ED primarily on money laundering charges. But now, it is the political showdown that is taking place. Already a meeting that was on at Sharad Pawar's residence after the NCP netas. Now the Congress netas as well. Remember, Congress is in the Aghadi government with the NCP. They've also now joined this emergency meeting at Sharad Pawar's residence. Joining all the political showdown is my colleague Kamlesh Sotar. Kamlesh, this is big. So this is now officially the NCP, the Congress meeting. What possibly is the huddle about? What do you think is on the agenda right now? How will they possibly come across with the defense? I can see already they are targeting the BJP, the government at the center. What are you picking up on the political huddle and the meeting? Kamlesh, if you can hear me.
Yes, Pooja. What the NCP and Congress will be discussing here is the situation that has risen after Nawab Malik's arrest. Of course, for the NCP, there were a couple of issues to be discussed, that whether Nawab Malik will have to resign because since he is arrested and an arrested person cannot stay on the post. That also will be discussed by the NCP, but that's an integral matter of the NCP. But now, since Congress joining in and a meeting between Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray and Sharad Pawar expected to start in some time from now, before that crucial meeting, NCP and Congress leaders have gone into huddle. Of course, a joint strategy will be drawn up by the Mahavikas Aghadi. It's not just about one particular Nawab Malik being arrested. It's about somebody who was speaking on behalf of the Mahavikas Aghadi, was vocal against the center, was vocal against the central agencies being misused against Maharashtra ministers and Maharashtra Vikas Aghadi leaders. So they'll have to stand with Nawab Malik. Of course, we've seen the kind of statements and tweets that have come in from Mahavikas Aghadi leaders. Also, the voice has to come in unison. They have to speak in one voice. So that will be discussed. On what lines will be they supporting? Will it just be a vocal support, just a lip service that will stand with Nawab Malik, or whether there will be some legal assistance that will be provided, whether there will be delegations that will be meeting the Prime Minister, or they will be moving higher courts in that regard. That also needs to be discussed. That will be discussed. But we've also learned that apart from NCP and Congress, a few Shiv Sena leaders are also likely to join. Now, whether they will join the meeting at Sharad Pawar's residence or at Varsha at the CM's residence, it's what remains to be seen. But a clear strategy will be drawn. When Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray and Sharad Pawar will meet, there is also a likelihood that they will issue a joint statement or might even face the media together. We'll have to wait and watch for that. But the action is just not over. In fact, the action has just begun. It's not going to be just a case that will be investigated. The legal aspect will be different. But the political aspect is what we are looking at. And that perhaps will be only
absolutely whether there will be a united voice coming in from the Aghadi government now, considering a minister from the government has now been taken into arrest. And Kamlesh is right there outside Sharad Pawar's residence. He's be getting us all the latest on that. Remember, it's a big political showdown. The netas of the Aghadi government are already targeting the government at the center and the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party. But what exactly happened? Stay on with me, Kamlesh, because it was a shocker for the Aghadi Sarkar. Maharashtra Minister Nawab Malik gets arrested by the Enforcement Directorate in a money laundering case. The probe agency is claiming that they have managed to establish a money trail linking Nawab Malik, the minister in the Maharashtra government, to the famous underworld Don Dawood Ibrahim. The ED also states that there are details of Benami investments of properties of the Maharashtra minister in a real estate project. Now, the investigation agency is stating that the remand of Nawab Malik will be sought on these specific grounds, which is money laundering, connect to underworld, and so on and so forth. Maharashtra Minister Nawab Malik basically purchased a property in Mumbai's Kurla area from one Sardar Khan, who is known close aide of Don Dawood Ibrahim. That property was originally worth of crores, but was apparently bought by Nawab Malik for just 30 lakh rupees. The aide of Dawood, Sardar Khan, who sold this property apparently to Nawab Malik, is also a convict. He has been convicted already in the 1993 serial blast case and is currently lodged. So now all of this, while this is playing out and Dawood aide under the scanner and the deal done with it, all of this is really going to become and pose more trouble if the ED manages to prove it against Nawab Malik. What is happening on the political front? Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray will be shortly chairing a meeting. NCP has already stated and cried political vendetta against them. Sharad Pawar already chairing an emergency meeting that has started just about half an hour ago at his Silver Oaks residence. NCP ministers, senior Congress ministers are joining in this meeting on and off now.
लेकिन डरेंगे नहीं, जीतेंगे और सबको लड़ेंगे और जीतेंगे, लड़ेंगे और
And meanwhile, the court hearing is currently underway, and India Today accesses the inside details of the hearing at the court. Remember, this is perhaps right now the biggest story because this is minister in the government arrested, and ED is seeking remand against Nawab Malik. What we are being told is that Malik introduced tenants on property to decrease the registration value money from Dawood, and that money from Dawood was used to acquire property. What is ED going to do now? ED will be seeking 14-day custody of Nawab Malik. So Divyesh Singh gets us the latest on that. Divyesh, ED is very clear. ED is stating they have evidence. They can manage to establish, and for that they need a 14-day custody. What is primarily the ED's argument for now at the court? Divyesh.
Well, Pooja, the Enforcement Directorate has clearly stated that this particular property in question was purchased or was controlled by Hasina Parker, late sister of underworld don and fugitive gangster Dawood Ibrahim. This property was being controlled by Hasina Parker and people working for Dawood Ibrahim and Hasina Parker. Sardar Shahwali Khan, who sold the property to Nawab Malik, was a Dawood Ibrahim aide, a convicted felon in the 93 blast case, who's serving life sentence presently in the Aurangabad prison. He sold this property to Nawab Malik. One Salim Patel was also involved. He also was part of the sale deed that had happened. And Salim Patel worked for Hasina Parker as her bodyguard. Now, Alisha Parker, the son of late Hasina Parker, was also summoned by the Enforcement Directorate. When he was summoned, he in his statement told ED officials that Nawab Malik had direct dealings with Hasina Parker, trying to procure property that had been proceeds of crime or that were controlled by Dawood Ibrahim and Hasina Parker in Mumbai. Kurla property was one such property.
Okay.
ED officials have also brought to light that this property was not owned by Sardar Shahwali Khan or Salim Patel, but was owned by one Mariam and Munira Plumberwala. And this property, Salim Patel just had power of attorney for removing encroachments from this property, but they illegally sold this property to Nawab Malik. 55 lakhs in cash were paid to Hasina Parker, while 5 lakh in check were paid to Hasina Parker for this deal by
very interesting, and all of this chain, Divyesh, you're telling us, will have to be also established by the ED. I do have a quick addition here. So let us also put this on record. These are senior lawyers representing both sides. Advocate Amit Desai representing Minister Nawab Malik. ASG Anil Singh representing the Enforcement Directorate. So both sides, Divyesh, ensuring that they put out the strongest arguments. But for now, ED says that they do have evidence for which they need 14 days custody.
Well, Pooja, both the sides, ASG Anil Singh representing the Enforcement Directorate, yes, has pointed out all the points that point out that Nawab Malik did procure this property illegally. This property was proceeds of crime and was directly controlled by Dawood Ibrahim through his sister Hasina Parker, and the money paid to Hasina Parker and Sardar Shahwali Khan while some illegal tenants were also showed in this particular property to reduce the registration value was done by Nawab Malik. So all these are the points that were raised by ASG Anil Singh, but
Amit Desai, who is representing Nawab Malik, he has stated that this particular deal that has been brought to light by ED in a case registered on 3rd of February 2022 happened in 1999.
Okay.
And he also pointed out that this particular deal which is being raised or which is being subject to investigation in this particular case happened more than 20 years ago, while this property deal, the money paid was paid legally. Also, he has raised questions about the investigation agency, the investigation tactics that were used, the investigation procedures that were used by the Enforcement Directorate. The argument is still going on.
Divyesh, stay on with me. Divyesh, stay on with me, because for the viewer who's tuned into 6 p.m. Prime, it's also important to help them understand how precisely has this case suddenly become so big. The Enforcement Directorate, the National Investigative Agency, all of them got together. FIRs merged for this investigation of money laundering charges, and the result, now a minister in the Maharashtra government has been taken into arrest. What exactly happened? Let me help you understand one by one. Let's bring you the timeline of what exactly took place, why Nawab Malik was taken into arrest. Remember, there is a money trail. A money trail that is linked to people connected to the underworld. Now, establishing, as you can see, the money trail linked to people with regard to the underworld and specifically Dawood Ibrahim, and that if the ED can possibly prove a link to Minister Nawab Malik. What happened after that? Primarily with the investment angle coming in, it was the Benami investment in retail estate projects, which means there were some properties that were bought by Nawab Malik that had were at least where the registration value was pulled down, or that is what he expected. Then he was found guilty of an offence punishable under the PMLA Act, and that is what precisely proved to be trouble for Nawab Malik. And these investigations, remember, started with the NIA. An FIR was filed, then an ED, an ECIR was filed, and now he has been taken into arrest. All of this, remember, is from our sources at the Enforcement Directorate, telling India Today exactly what had happened and what led to Nawab Malik's arrest. I want to now come to you, Divyesh, because this has also become a political showdown. At this point, what is the NCP saying? Have they said anything right now? Because you're telling us the meeting is right now on at Sharad Pawar's residence. Any specific statement that has come from the NCP right now? We could see a lot of tweets and a lot of social media flurry already by the Agadi government.
Well, NCP leaders are stating that this the action taken by ED is non-democratic and they shouldn't have happened. The way in which they have arrested a sitting cabinet minister is not legal. They should have gone through the due procedure that ED follows or any agency follows. They have also alleged that no notices were served to Nawab Malik. Officers reached his residence early in the morning at wee hours and then forcibly brought him to the ED office, and then post noon he was placed under arrest. So they have questioned the procedure that was adopted by Enforcement Directorate today while pursuing this case, while investigating this case, while there is a high profile meeting that is going on where NCP's top brass will decide what could be the further course of action. We saw agitation, we saw protests by NCP workers near the Enforcement Directorate office, near the NCP office in Balad Estate, South Mumbai, and as of now also some NCP workers are still agitating, they are still protesting near
what
the NCP
happened yesterday? Do tell us about that, Divyesh, because you're tracking the investigation angle also, and we remember how Hasina Parker's son was questioned by the Enforcement Directorate, and just hours after we have Nawab Malik taken into arrest. You broke that information. Is there a connect possibly between the two?
Well, the statement given by Alisha Parker was the one that nailed Nawab Malik in this case. Remember, Nawab Malik's connection to Hasina Parker was only established through the statement given by Alisha Parker, her son, who gave statement or recorded his statement with the Enforcement Directorate on Monday. His statement was recorded for around 4 to 5 hours, where he stated that Nawab Malik did have dealings with Hasina Parker, where he wanted to procure properties that Hasina Parker owned or she controlled in Mumbai, and that is how Nawab Malik's role into purchase of this property came to light. That is how the link was established, and that is how ED further proceeded in this case. They waited for a day, they recorded few more statements, they collected few more documents, they reached the real owners of this property, and then they found out that this property was illegally being controlled by the underworld, by Dawood Ibrahim through Hasina Parker, who then through people working for her sold this property to Nawab Malik and illegally accepted rupees 60 lakhs, while this property was sold for just rupees 30 lakhs on paper. 60 lakh rupees were illegally paid to Hasina Parker by Nawab Malik and people working for his company, which purchased this property, which is a prime property based in central Mumbai in Kurla, and is worth crores of rupees. So this is the place where proceeds of crime come in. Dawood Ibrahim is a wanted fugitive gangster who's also termed as global terror financer by the United Nations, and he's wanted by in India and other multiple countries. People working for him were running this illegal syndicate of
these are serious allegations that you're telling us about Nawab Malik that are being investigated for now, Divyesh. A Kurla property deal with Dawood aid, a 1993 blast convict, and all of this murky dealings. You know, if a property is worth crores of rupees, how did Nawab Malik at all manage to buy it just for 30 lakh rupees? All of this, the ED is saying they'll manage to establish a chain trail. That's the investigation angle. I request Divyesh to stay on. What is the political angle? It's now a political showdown primarily between these politicians, and we'll try to get you all the latest on how, while the politicians are meeting, the ministers in the government, NCP Mantri, who's just now been arrested, said publicly, "Ladenge, jeetenge, expose karenge." We'll bring you that update after a break. That victory sign by Nawab Malik saying, "Ladenge, jeetenge, expose karenge." We'll bring you the latest on that after a very short break.
Without giving any notice, you have taken him to the custody, first to the office and then custody. And what act, under what act you have arrested him? Under Prevention of Money Laundering Act. What is Prevention of Money Laundering? This Act of 2002. Prevention of Money Laundering comes when the transaction or allegation is above 100 crore. This charges, this transaction, this deal has been taken 15 to 17 years old case. And because he is a Muslim, that is why you are trying to link with Dawood Ibrahim. That is why, yes.
Not just political.
See, that's
a very big allegation. That is a big allegation, especially.
But right now, systematically, they are trying to tarnish, malign the image of NCP.
So this is a full-blown political communal showdown. Now, the NCP is saying he's persecuted because he is a Muslim. That apart, considering all the investigation that is on against him, both by the NIA and the ED. So this politics that's now playing out after the arrest of Agadi Minister in Maharashtra, Nawab Malik, the Mantri, when the arrest was taking place, just before that, take a look at that visual on your screen, waving in the air and then vowed publicly on camera, "Ladenge, jeetenge, expose karenge," is what Nawab Malik is claiming, smiling. Not at all, perhaps, in fear of the fact that he's now going to be taken into arrest, that a very strong charge has been placed against him. Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray, meanwhile, is set to chair a meeting shortly. I'll be getting you all the latest updates on that. NCP MP Supriya Sule, the party from which Nawab Malik is, has already spoken to India today. And she is accusing the government at the center of targeting Nawab Malik and the party. The Shiv Sena is blaming the centre for a deliberate attempt to disturb, destabilize the Maharashtra's incumbent government. BJP, meanwhile, has demanded immediate resignation from Malik, questioning Agadi Sarkar for defending a minister like this, who possibly and allegedly has Dawood gang's links. There, a smiling, waving Nawab Malik.
Minister in Maharashtra government, Nawab Malik, has been arrested. Nawab Malik has said that he will fight and wait for 2024 What are your comments? Why you think that Enforcement Directorate has taken this action?
I have no idea, because I mean, it's just shocking and surprising that you call a person, daily ask him questions for 3-4 hours and arrest him immediately. And not only that, what is more interesting is that several BJP ministers and leaders, months and weeks ahead and days and hours ahead, tweet about what's going to happen next. So that makes it even more interesting that how much ED is unfortunately under the influence of this present dispensation. It's very unfortunate.
Ma'am, the way Nawab Malik started attacking the central agencies, specifically after he alleged NCP official Sameer Wankhede, the case has been registered against Sameer Wankhede. A lot of your leaders are saying that the action is basically kind of a repartee to what Nawab Malik has been alleging, and also the action by the state government. You think there is any substance in that?
I don't know. Sameer Wankhede's case, I really don't know much about. I haven't followed it. But one thing I can tell you that I don't know if Sameer Wankhede is connected to any of this. I really won't know that. But I can rest assured one thing to you, that if you see the chronology of what they have built against Nawab Bhai was talking about it, pan-India he has a fan following. People would ask me from the airport, whenever I traveled, on a railway station, friends across party lines, in parliament, asking me what's next. Because that Farjiwada, which was real injustice, he exposed a few people who were blackmailing families, which was very unfortunate. As a matter of fact, I wish that the central government complimented Nawab Bhai, because he was breaking into a system where a small, I'm not saying all officers there are not bad, there was a small section who was doing this bad activity, is what Nawab Bhai was trying to show the world and expose. So actually, central government and Maharashtra government should have worked closer together in exposing some of these bad apples in the system. But it's unfortunate that people took it so personally, and there were excessive comments passed that abhi unko arrest karenge, raid hogi, ye hogi, wo hogi. So obviously it exposes that, unfortunately, that either ED is bullied by some people in the central government who are tweeting constantly, or I really don't know what it is. I've never seen such a murky situation in an administration ever.
राजनीति इतने नीचे स्तर पर जा सकती है, ये बड़ी ही निराशाजनक और गलत बात है। मैं तो कहूँगा ये नगरपालिका, महानगरपालिका के स्तर पर जो होता है उससे भी बदतर होकर, उससे भी नीचे स्तर पर राजनीति का स्तर गिर गया है। पूरे देश में या महाराष्ट्र में जो भी आज चीजें दिखाई दे रही है वो उचित नहीं है। केंद्रीय एजेंसीज इसके द्वारा जो भी हो रहा है निश्चित तौर पर ठीक बात नहीं।
आज महाराष्ट्र के कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर नवाब मलिक को फाइनली ईडी ने गिरफ्तार किया। अब इस गिरफ्तारी के बाद उन्होंने इस्तीफा देना चाहिए। यह महाराष्ट्र की परंपरा है। इस प्रकार का कानून भी है कि जब कोई मिनिस्टर पर आरोप लगते हैं और आरोप इतने हैं कि उसमें गिरफ्तारी होती है, अब ये विषय शुरू हो जाएगा कि नहीं वो अभी तो गिरफ्तारी हुई है, अब और आगे चलना है वगैरह वगैरह। ये नैतिकता है और ये महाराष्ट्र की परंपरा है। 2 चीफ मिनिस्टर इस प्रकार से गए, तो नवाब मलिक के ईडी गिरफ्तारी के बाद उन्होंने इस्तीफा देना चाहिए।
Compromising stand on elements like Dawood Ibrahim and his gang and his terrorism today are defending a minister who has been accused on the basis of proof of having financial transactions with those who've been convicted in Mumbai blast. How low will the Maha-Vikas Aghadi government fall just for the sake of power? What are they waiting for to take the resignation of Nawab Malik? Why was this resignation not taken on the day such allegations and proof surfaced against Nawab Malik? What is the nexus and what is the majburi because of which such a person is being defended?
देखिए, भारतीय जनता पार्टी जिस समय घबराती है इस तरह की एजेंसियों को सामने ला करके लोगों को अपमानित करती है, झूठे मुकदमे लगा करके जेल भेजती है। हमने कई बार देखा है, यहाँ पर भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार ने बताया था कि उनको खतरा है, टेररिस्ट अटैक हो सकता है विधानसभा में, कोई पुड़िया निकली थी और बाद में वो पुड़िया निकली बुरादा, लकड़ी का घिसा हुआ पाउडर, तो ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी के लोग कुछ भी कर सकते हैं, किसी को भी अपमानित कर सकते हैं।
By law, it may not be correct or wrong, whatever is the let the Lord take his own course of action. But the timing is that they want to disturb the government, destabilize the Maharashtra government, and the cabinet minister is being arrested like this. And because he has targeted ED and he has proved it, for the very reason the officer concerned was transferred, because he has proved it, what they are doing it, what the ED is doing. And every now and then, every day you find the BJP leaders go on giving breaking news. Tomorrow he will be arrested. As if they are in hand in glove with the ED. The information they only give or ED gives them to them, and they go on saying that. The target is what? To destabilize the government.
So what is this alleged link of Nawab Malik to the Dawood Ibrahim gang? I'm going to help you understand what precisely are the allegations coming in from the Enforcement Directorate. Because remember, one of the biggest allegations against Nawab Malik, and that actually led to his arrest, is that he had close aid of Dawood Ibrahim, and there was a property deal that also took place. And Dawood Ibrahim, one of the most infamous gangsters, a fugitive for India, that's the biggest allegation. So now you must know what precisely is that deal that is being referred to here. This deal with Dawood Aid is now under the scanner. This precisely is the Kurla property deal, for which he apparently had to just pay a few lakhs of rupees, which is a property worth crores. Alleged deal with Dawood Aid Sarkar Shaiwala Khan, who's a 1993 blast convict of Maharashtra, and Salim Patel. Sardar Khan already in custody, but who is Salim Patel? He is Dawood's sister Hasina Parker's bodyguard. So what was then Nawab Malik contacting and interacting with him? Properties worth crores allegedly were bought for just 30 lakh rupees from Khan and Patel. And that is why when this investigation and chain trail was questioned, there were people who were questioned in the past few days as well. It eventually led to the arrest of Minister in the Maharashtra government, Nawab Malik. So the Dawood gang, the D gang, is under the ED scanner, constantly making a mention. Dawood's sister, Hasina Parker, you see her image here, her residence was first raided. But not just him, it was actually Dawood's brother, Iqbal Kaskar, who was then taken into custody. And that FIR that was also being taken into account, NIA case, the ECIR that was filed, both were merged to then push it further. Hasina Parker's son, Alisha Parker, was questioned by the ED just about 24 hours ago. And now, since that questioning that took place, Dawood's brother, Anis and Chota Shakil also coming under the scanner of the investigating agency. Chota Shakil was even grilled for over 9 hours. Dawood and company is now accused of running, and for a while now, of running hawala operations, betting syndicates, illegal real estate business. And it is one of those illegal real estate business which finds Nawab Malik also in the dock. Remember, this is a developing story, but the biggest one right now. It has not only been political, it is not only about investigation, it's also taken a communal color as the NCP coming out with the allegations that Nawab Malik is arrested only because he's a Muslim. I'll be tracking all the latest. Don't go anywhere. I'm heading into a very short break. When I return at 7 p.m, I'll bring you what's happening on the ground in Mumbai, the meeting at Sharad Pawar's residence. That and more. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching.